Hey guys, good evening. How are you all doing? I'm sure you had some awesome festival yesterday. Yeah, so today is our 10th session in Photoshop. So I'm sure you all are practicing no, as soon as we are like finishing our practical section out here. So far in this course, we have covered like several sections in Photoshop, getting started with it, like with the tool, and how do we use different options in the tool. We have also covered several sections in the tools like selection. So on the selection, we have covered mark Q, crop tools, quick selection tools, and lasso tools, of course, some other tools as well. And then we have moved down to the manipulation tools, and there are a lot of manipulation tools, and among them, we have covered stamp tool, we have covered history tool, art history tool, dot, smudge, brushes, and erasers. Then we have moved down to the creation tools, wherein we have tried to understand some pen tools, shape tools, text tools, and gradient tools. And in our previous session, we tried to understand more about the workspace tool. So we tried, getting deeper into the eyedropper tool, like picking up some colors from there, the color sampler, the rulers, trying to understand the rules of a particular image. Then we have moved down to the nodes tool. So how do we put up some nodes and then give it to our colleagues? Then we had moved down to the hand tool just to move the images. Then rotate view under the hand tool. Then we have moved down to the zoom tool. So we understood like how to zoom in. Then the color switcher tool. So we all know that we have been working with that since our first session. And then we have moved down to the quick mask mode, wherein we just want to understand a particular area. Then we use this quick mask tool. So this is what we have covered so far. So now in today's session, we'll start a new section, which is workflow. So here is what we are going to cover today. The undo options, the history tool, the actions toolbar. So let's understand like what these options are, or probably what these sections are. Let's understand the theory part of it, and in tomorrow's session we'll try to apply that in a practical way. Now let me open Photoshop for you all. Now we all have a very good idea like how we use the undo option in Photoshop. Not even in Photoshop, but in some other areas, like we all use like MS Excel or MS Word and all. So whenever we type something wrong, or we type something by mistake, or if we want to step back to the previous the thing that we have done, that is when we will use this Control Z on our keyboard, right? The most popular shortcuts in the keyboard is Shift Delete, wherein we used to delete something, and another one is the Control Z, which is used to undo our previous action. So let me just quickly open an image for you. I'm just saying Control O. Like said, you can also go here and then say open, or I can directly say Control O from my keyboard shortcut. I'll just try to put up a new image. I'm saying open, so my image is like now open here. Now, we'll just quickly understand how this, Control Z works. For that, let me just pick up something. Right now, my text is enabled. Let me pick up a brush. Yeah, I've picked up a brush here. So I have a brush enabled on my cursor, and this is the image that I have uploaded from my computer. Now, I'll just put up a stroke here. I've just drawn a stroke on my image. Now I do want the stroke to appear on my image, and I want to delete this. So how do I do that? All that we know is doing Control Z. So my stroke is gone. So whatever I did previously, my previous action is gone with a simple shortcut on my keyboard, which is Control Z. Right? Now I'll do something else. So I'll put up some more lines, some more strokes for that matter with my brush tool. Now I want to delete all my strokes, and I want my previous image to be popped up. What do? I'll again say Control Z. Now what I am expecting is to delete all these strokes and give me a plain image. But what my Control Z did is it only deleted my previous action, previous stroke for that matter. Now, what if I want to undo all my strokes with Control Z? It doesn't happen actually. So whenever I just Control Z it, so only my stroke out here got deleted. So I'll once again say Control Z. So my stroke is back. So instead of deleting the last stroke, it got back my previous stroke as well. So this is because Control Z affects only my recent action in Photoshop. Okay, pressing 1 will undo the last action and pressing it again will redo my last action. So my last action is like this particular stroke, and when I press Ctrl Z, only this particular stroke will go off, and when I again press Ctrl Z, it will redo my last previous stroke. Okay, now if you want to undo all the strokes that are there here, there's a separate keyboard shortcut we use. So that is Control Alt Z. I'm sure I think I've used it many times while showing some examples of another tools. But now we'll just try to learn about it in specific. So Control Alt Z is the keyboard shortcut that is used to delete all your strokes. So it will go backward in time, step by step. Let me just say Control Alt and Z. I've pressed it once, I've pressed it twice, I've pressed it thrice, I've pressed it 4 times now, and then I'm pressing it 5th time now. So all my strokes have gone. So unlike Control Z, so Control Z, what did that do? It just deleted my immediate previous action. But whereas Control Alt Z will delete everything. It will go backward and it will delete all my actions in a step-by-step manner. Now, what if I want to bring back all the strokes that I have put here? So Control Alt Z is for deleting all the strokes in a step-by-step manner, right? So what if I want to bring back all the strokes here? So for that, the keyboard shortcut is Control Shift Z. So I've pressed it once, so one stroke has appeared. So again, I'm saying Control Shift Z. So my second stroke is on the screen, and again I'm pressing it thrice. This is the third time I'm pressing it. My third stroke is there on my screen. This is the 4th stroke, and this is the 5th stroke. So all my strokes have come up on my screen. So all that I did is pressing Control Shift and Z simultaneously. So Control Alt Z is for deleting your previous actions in step-by-step manner, and Control Shift Z is to redo your actions in a step-by-step manner. So this is it about Control Z and Control Alt Z. So if you remember, we briefly touched the history panel in our previous sessions. We just try to understand. I think when we are doing this eraser tools or the brush tools, we just briefly understand how do we work with the history panel. Probably this is the best time wherein we can understand a bit more about it. Okay. So this is towards your right hand side. This is your history panel. So when we were discussing the workspace, we all understood like how to bring it to your just give me a second. Yeah. So when we were discussing about brushes or probably the erasers, we've just touched this brush tool to go back to our previous selection and then make some changes. So now we will try to understand more about it. So when you want this history panel to be there in your workspace, all that you will have to do is go to your window out here in the options and then click and then make sure your history is enabled here. Your history is checked here. Whenever it is checked, that means you have a panel on your workspace. So when I delete this, my panel is gone. So again, I'll go here and then I'll put up my history panel. So whatever works that I have done so far, is there in this particular history panel. Now, this is really great, not only for fixing some mistakes, but also for, experimenting some different ideas without having to permanently, affect your image. So if you really want to go back to something else, and then you want to put up a new stroke or probably a new color, you can do that without actually affecting your complete original image. So if you want to go back to your previous stroke, or if your previous color, you can do that with this history tab. So this is such a wonderful, and then one of the what you call saviors of your Photoshop. So if you miss something, or if you want to go back, or if you want to see like how the previous action like really looked. If you want to compare two actions, if you want to compare a blue with a green, so you can actually do that with this particular history tool. So now that we have this history panel open, the changes that I've just made to this document are shown, and then we can click on any option to go. Let me just click on this first option and then see. Like I have gone to my previous action. If I just click here, so my plain image, whatever I have uploaded, so it also gives you a predefined names out here. So whenever I clicked on Control O and then I open this image, that is when it is named this as open. And then when I click here in the history panel, I just went back to my page, to my image, like fresh image. Now it also gives me an option. See, all these are right now disabled, but they are still clickable. I can click on any of these options. Let me just try to click on this middle option, third. See, it is still enabled. So wherever you click, you will be back to that particular. So in this phase, we have just given 3 strokes. So whenever I clicked on this, whatever we have done in that particular phase has come up. Right. So now here, so in my 4th stroke, I've given, in my 4th phase, I've given 4 strokes, right? So let me just go back here, wherein I've just given 3 strokes. So let me just go back to my brush tool. I'm just trying to decrease the brush size by pressing the open bracket on my keyboard. Then I'm just trying to put up some other stroke here. See what changes have happened. So previously there were 2 more phases out here, wherein the second phase here was the last but one phase was like giving a 4th stroke here, and last phase was giving another stroke here with the same sized brush. Now just because I have gone here and then put up a new stroke, all my previous things are vanished. Okay. So this history stage has been replaced by my new brush stroke, making a new timeline out here by making some new stroke as the most recent action. So this is my new stroke. So my history, panel has made this as, the most recent action, and then it's like live right now. Now, let's say you want to start over this image with some new strokes, but you don't want to lose your current progress. Okay, so we have just lost our current progress, right? We used to have some another stroke here and then another stroke here with the same sized brush. So we lost it. Now, what if you want to start again here with some understroke, and then you don't want to lose this particular history? What do you do that? How do you do that basically? So there's a button at the bottom of the history panel here. So this is your history panel. There's a button here at the bottom beside this, trash can, which is called as snapshot button. So the name itself is like self-explanatory, right? So it takes a snapshot of your current stage. So wherever you are, so it will take a snapshot. This is your first, whenever you have uploaded something, so it already by default takes a snapshot. This is your first snapshot that is saved in your history panel. So if I want to continue with this, so I'll just take a snapshot here and then try to continue. So all that I'll have to do is click here. So I click here. So it has created a new snapshot with my 3 strokes here. So another, all the faces are still like live. So now I've clicked on the snapshot. So snapshot is here. So what happens is it basically creates a history state below my original document, history date. So this is my original document. So it right below this, it creates a history state. So if I just want to go back to my, this particular state, or all that I'll have to do is, come up and then click on this particular snapshot. So it will take back to my state wherever I was. So from here, I can do whatever I would like to. I'll select some other pencil tool and I'll draw something. So it is here. So I'll draw something here. But what if I just want to go back to this particular phase? All that I'll have to do is click on my snapshot one and I'm back to my place where I just left. Okay, this is the advantage of this particular snapshot option that is there in the history panel. So what this snapshot did is, I can say it just created a copy of my document in its current state, so that I could go up to my original document history state and make some new strokes to replace my timeline. Just give me a second here. Yeah. So what I was saying is, so it basically created, a history, a cluster of my, changes, and then it is put like a snapshot. So whenever I feel like, all the changes that I've done are like, destructive, and if I don't want all these changes, I can directly go back, go forward to the snapshots and click on that and get my previous stage. So that's it. So this is really advantageous. So whenever you're working on some larger documents and whenever you're trying to compare, like, which color suits, well for your particular canvas or your, the image that you're doing, this is like really helpful. Just remember these options out here. So, the snapshots, you can basically use these snapshots to save your documents at like multiple stages of development, or, the use of snapshots can, help you to step back and try different ideas without actually losing your progress. For an example, if you are like working with this image, if you really don't want this particular mountain to be there, and if you want some, icy mountain to be here, you can actually do that. You can first take a screenshot of this, and then in your next stage, you can actually put some ice on this mountain and then try out. Then take a screenshot, then try to compare both the options. The rocky mountain is good, or an icy mountain, and then probably you can decide like which is like really eye catching, and then you can start working on that. So this is the advantage of this snapshot tool. Now, if you pay attention to the history panel out here, while I make some brush strokes, you can see that Photoshop is adding a new stage for each stroke, right? So I had used pencil tool like thrice or 4 times. So all that is like listed in my history tool. So whenever if I'm trying to select any tool, that selection will not be recorded. But whenever I select something and whenever I try to click that particular tool on my canvas, every click is recorded here. For an example, I'm just clicking once and then I'm just dragging this till here. So it is recorded as one stage. When I just click and release, it is recorded as one stage. So every click is recorded as one stage. Your Photoshop is actually adding your Photoshop is actually adding more layers here. So whenever each layer is getting added, you can, in the right hand side, you can actually see a small scroll bar. Right? You can see a small scroll bar wherein you can actually find all the stages that you have previously done. So basically Photoshop is like adding a new stage for each stroke, and whenever I'm just trying to put up some more brushes or probably some more effects to my image, all my everything will get captured in this history panel, and soon my this particular history panel will run out of the space, right? Because I'm trying to put up more and more effects. So I'm just going to move this history panel a bit here, and then I'll just try to expand this a bit, just to give it some breathing space. I'm just trying to go here and then trying to expand here at the edge. So even with this expanded panel, though the scroll bar has gone down, even with this expanded panel, it is but still running out of the space. Even if I add some more strokes, again my particular scroll bar comes out, and then it basically runs out of the stage. So it is easy now to eventually for me to run out of this room. So now when I'm just putting everything in the history, everything gets stored in the Photoshop memory, right? So basically Photoshop memory is also going to slow down, as it is like keeping a track of all the changes that I am doing on my canvas or my image. So now you can probably imagine that there must be some sort of limit to it, on how many history states that we can create, right? You are absolutely right. So you can actually define like how many stages should be there in this particular history panel. So we can actually control the number of dates. So all that we have to do is go to edit. I'll go to preferences. And then I'll go to performance. Let's say you're working on a regular image that you know better, and you don't want to save everything, every single stroke that you're giving. So that is when you will actually decrease the history, like decrease the number of states. So you'll actually go to edit, you can go to preferences, and then here under performance, in this history states, you have this number 20, right? So it means your last 20 states will be recorded. So not more than 20, but your last 20 states will be recorded. So I can actually increase this to pretty high number, probably like 80, 90 or 100. But it definitely slows down the Photoshop's performance. So trust me when I say that you're like better sticking with a lower number. That's like really great. So let it be like 20. 20 is the ideal number. It is always recommended to put 20 or probably 30, but that's it. So based on the the image that you're working on, this you will have to decide. So if you're working on a complicated image, and if you really want to compare each and every stroke and then try to understand which performs better, that is when you can put up some more history states. Or if you think that you're working for a normal image, then just strike it off to 20, or probably you can less than 20, and then your performance will really increase. Your Photoshop doesn't hang, and it doesn't slow down. So this is the basic advantage of it. Or if you really don't want to go with the history states, just take a snapshot and then try out different options. Right now I'm just putting it as 20, and then I'm closing this document. As I said, just save your documents. Whenever you do something, just try to save them out, or just take snapshots if you want to do a lot of experimenting with your images or documents. Okay, just give me a second. Now, so you all have this history ready for you, right? So if you want to delete your history, I'm sure you know this, you can actually drag this out to the trash icon out here. and that particular state gets deleted. All that you will have to do is drag and drop, or you can also right click on a particular state and then say you have an option to create a snapshot. You can delete it, or you can delete the complete history, or probably you can put up a new document, but that's okay. If you really want to delete something, the best way is to drag and drop, or just right click and then say delete. So this is just a one click option, and this gives you a 2-click one. So it's better if you just drag and drop and delete. So the same goes for any snapshots in our history panel. If you want to delete a snapshot, all that you will have to do is drag and drop into the trash bin out here. So as you see, manipulating the history panel can be extremely useful for stepping forward and backward the design process, as it gives you a visual representation of all your steps that you have taken to finish your projects. You can do anything possible with this. Is it will the beauty of the history panel is it will give you a step-by-step procedure of what you have done, which tool you have used, which stroke you have used. When did you take a screenshot, when did you upload an image, everything gets recorded. If you want to go back, you can do that. If you want to come forward, you can do that. You can do anything with this particular history panel. This is basically a visual representation of your workflow. So sometimes there's a lot of steps to take before you're finished with your Photoshop document, and more often then it doesn't stay there. So you might have to make those same actions over a number of time of different documents. So this can be like really painful, and it really it's really time consuming. So whenever you want to create something, you all that again you'll have to do is like put up a new document, create the same effects. You want to really work on 2 documents at a time, the same effects. All that you will have to do is like upload a document, create an effect, see how it is, upload another document, create the same effect, and then see how it is. So you will have to repeat the process again and again, right? So here Photoshop, fortunately, it provides a way to make this process very, very faster. So every time, if for an example, to an image, my first step is to give it a black and white color. My second step is to reduce the size of an image. My third step is to blur the backgrounds, and my fourth step is to save the document. And even if these steps are also same to my second document. So all that I will have to do is record something that I have done for my first document, and then implement the same to my second document. So this is called as a copying process. This is called as action recording process. We'll look at this in next session, but before that, let's try to understand what actions are. Okay. So I'm just going up to the window panel out here on my top options, and then pull up my action panel by clicking on it, and then I'm just going to this actions option out here, or you can directly say Alt F9. I'm just clicking here. I'm just clicking on my actions. Where is it? Here. See, I have a lot of options out here. I've got a lot of options just beside my history panel. So this action panel will let you record a series of steps, and then enables you to apply those same steps automatically with just one click of a button. Okay, the first thing we see when we open actions panel is a boulder out here with some default actions. If you want to, so this is your folder. So I'm just clicking on the arrow out here. So I see a lot of options under this particular folder. I see a triangle out here. So you can click on them to expand or to de-expand the options here. So this expands a little further than the panel will allow. So I'm just trying to click and drag and understand if there are any more options. So all that I have is these options. So I'm good with it. So all these actions are actually provided by Photoshop by default. So I'm just going to go down and then select something for now. Probably I'll select the sepia toning layer. I'm just clicking on it. I've just clicked on this particular layer. So I'm just now clicking on the play button here. So this is called as play button. I'm just clicking on this play button. You see something? We actually observe few changes out here, right? The first thing that I noticed when my image, my image has changed to some brownish tint kind of thing, and it's almost making it look like some old faded photograph, right? So when I just go to my layers panel out here, I see that there are two layers created other than my background layer, right? We have two more layers just created. Probably, yeah. Here you can find two more layers. So let's go back to the history panel again here. All that I'll have to do is like switch between the action panel and history panel. Luckily, Photoshop allows you to put up actions and history under the same tab. So that's the advantage. So now when I go to my history panel, so let's see what else we can find here. I can see a hue saturation 1 layer. I'll just click here. So this action has been applied. So it means, so this particular action has been applied to my image. So what this action has done is, it has actually also taken a screenshot. So if you remember, we have just deleted the screenshot that we have done, right? So now when I just clicked on the sepia tone, the history panel created a screenshot of what the previous image was. When I just click here, it's again back to the sepia tone color. So let's go back to screenshot again. So this was my previous image that was there before I applied the sepia action, and this is the after sepia action. So this is called as like a fail-safe stage by Photoshop. So basically in Photoshop, before applying any action by default, it takes a screenshot just to be on a safer side. So Photoshop actually adds by default, because actions can contain so many steps that they will overflow your actually history panel. So that's why it takes a screenshot. And you might not be able to undo the action. You decide if you don't like it. So taking a screenshot or snapshot beforehand allows you to undo the action no matter what. So hence, the screenshot is really helpful. So if you feel that this particular action is like, if you don't like this action, so you can actually go back to your previous one by just with one click. So Photoshop by default takes a screenshot before it applies any action. Now let me just go back to the actions panel, and then I'll just go here. So my sepia tone is still highlighted, right? So I have a small triangle out here. I'm just clicking here and then seeing what actions did that make to my image. Okay, so it looks like it actually made a snapshot, duplicated my background layer, and then desaturated the new layer. And here at the bottom, when it says make, and if I try to expand this, I can see that it has made a huge saturation layer, right? See, it has made a huge saturation layer with a brownish tint or brownish hue, resulting in this particular sepia tone. Now, with these actions, we don't have to play the whole action we want to, and if you don't want to play, you can just leave it aside. You can click on any of these steps and then play action from that particular point, or you can directly double click. So if you want to make only this action possible, you will have to click here and then just say play. So see how it's just going down. So it is saying that this particular sepia tone has made all these changes. So what if I'll just say desaturate and just say play? So this is not currently available because it's a part of my particular sepia tone steps. So generally, if you really want to play something, all that you will have to do is click here and then select play option. Yeah. In tomorrow's session, probably we'll try to understand more in a practical way. We'll just try to pick up some images, or put some action in the first image, and then Photoshop actually allows you to record a particular action. We have a button left to the play button called as record button. This round button is the record button. So whatever action you do for your first image can be recorded, and that particular action can be implemented to the other two or probably other 3 or 4 images. So this will help you to reduce your time. So every time you don't have to put up all the actions to all the images. So all that you will have to do is put up an action for one image, record that, and then apply to the other images. So in tomorrow's session, we'll try to understand this in a more practical way. Probably then you will be able to do it in practical after this session. So if you have any doubts, you can put it forward, or probably tomorrow we'll meet in the next session. Thanks for your time, guys. Bye-bye.